This video only exists for my own sanity. I gotta do this every once in a while because the Pokemon community is so bafflingly stupid, it needs to be documented. So Wolfeyvgc has entered the chat on the whole Korea thing, of course ignoring the fact that they're all cheaters and that the timeline doesn't add up for the first person being disqualified over the intent of using Metronome Pokemon. That what happened is that Rank 1 deleted their rental team after getting disqualified, but then the other players that were colluding to use Metronome teams in protest weren't disqualified with this. So the rhetoric going around that these poor VGC players were disqualified and lost their World's Day 2 invites because they just wanted to have a simple protest is misinformation at best. There's also people like Wolfe Glick using their platform to just lie about the situation because the players broke the rules. It's clearly written in multiple forms of the rules as well. So in Wolfe's video he said, "I'm not shocked that they were disqualified, even though it wasn't expressly prohibited in the rules." Except it's expressly prohibited in the rules and also has precedent elsewhere in esports and sports. And if the average IQ in the Pokemon community wasn't below 70, this could easily be figured out with common sense. It's also worth noting that Wolfeyvgc is a historic liar and career-long cheater who has been caught with hacked Pokemon many times throughout his career, and then he lies about it, and then uses that to steal tens of thousands of dollars in prize money. And if we're talking about someone that says they're a world champion to promote their videos, they should know the rules already, so it just doesn't make sense that he would lie like this unless it's to push whatever narrative is going on and exploit the ignorance and stupidity of the Pokemon community, which he already does, again, by lying about his career-long cheating. So what happened was the players agreed to use teams of Pokemon that only know the move Metronome as protest for the streamed final event. Well, that's clearly against sportsmanship rules. Unsporting conduct, this group of penalties covers the inappropriate actions taken by players or spectators, and then we have the severe disqualification. Infractions in this category have a serious impact on event operation or integrity. And players colluding to make the outcome of matches purely RNG is definitely against the integrity of competitive play and professionalism, and it's just straight up match fixing. And this is also where we have precedent in other esports, but also that's where we just see like the non-stop toxicity and stupidity in the Pokemon VGC community, where this is the only game or sport or esport that has ever existed where people will just ruthlessly defend breaking the rules and cheating, even though it is harming the game, and there is no example anywhere of cheating being a good thing for any competitive environment. League of Legends, Curson-A, and Team Dignitas disqualified from MLG's Summer Championship, no first or second place awarded. The top two teams in MLG's League of Legends Summer Championship, Curson-A and Team Dignitas, have been disqualified for collusion after the event's final. Both teams reportedly agreed to play an ARAM in the first round of the final. There was also an allegation that they planned to split the prize money equally, but that wasn't really supported. It's mostly about the ARAM. ARAM, all random, all mid, is an unofficial League of Legends game type which only uses the middle lane of the map, and every player is given a random champion. So this is the ruling right here. We have determined that there was collusion between the two final teams, Curson-A and Team Dignitas, said MLG in a statement. This is in clear violation of both the letter and spirit of MLG's official pro circuit conduct rules. Competitors may not intentionally forfeit a game or conspire to manipulate rankings or brackets. As such, both teams have been disqualified and no placements or prize money will be awarded. Riot has agreed with this decision and in accordance with their Season 2 rules on unsportsmanlike conduct will not be awarding circuit points to either team. So wow, we have this going back to Season 2 of League of Legends, 2012, where reducing the finals of a major event to an unofficial random game mode has been ruled as unsportsmanlike conduct. And then, again, just the stupidity of the Pokemon community over a decade later to be outraged by this, even though it was already in the Pokemon rules, to not determine the outcome of a match by random means. Or just not having the most basic of comprehension skills to understand that conspiring to manipulate rankings with opponents is a bad thing in any competitive environment, sports or esports or Pokemon. And liar, cheater, and thief Wolfe Glick doesn't understand this either. And then it gets even crazier. Right here, it can't be written any more clear. Determine the outcome of match by random means. And the thing is, that actually requires collaboration between the competitors. So when it comes to using Pokemon that only know Metronome, there is no competitive integrity here. That is a collusion to do something similar to like what we saw with an ARAM, in that the entire match is just going to be determined by the randomness of Metronome. The entire match. And now we can see the collective sub-room temperature IQ of the Pokemon community really shine. Causes for disqualification include missing a game-defining Hydro Pump, connecting Fissure, getting critted, paraflinching your opponent, using any Pokemon with Moody, and then they just list whatever RNG is in the game. Except that's not using random means to determine an entire match. No one attempting to win a competitive game of Pokemon is only going to select Metronome. These elements still fall within competitive play for Pokemon. Did you ever play an IRL tournament? That rule exists so people wouldn't roll dice or flip coins in order to determine the winner in case the players would tie and wouldn't make top cut because of it. It doesn't say only external random means, by any random means. They could make it to where any collusion to where it's like, hey, whoever misses double protect first loses the match. That is the collusion that is covered by this. That is no different than Metronome. And then we see another thing that just baffles me about the Pokemon community is that they are so wrong, and they do not understand how wrong they are to where they always prove themselves wrong in their own statements. I think this literally means trying to determine the match outcome with something like a dice roll. You have it right there. It is determining the match outcome with RNG means. But what they fail to explain is any difference between working with the opponent to determine the match via a dice roll or working with the opponent to determine the match via only using RNG elements inside of the game. Given what's said in the portion of the bullet point following the red box, random means implies the use of external factors like coin flipping to determine the victor. So what's after this is by the use of bribery or coercion, or by any means other than those set forth in the guidelines. What? There's nothing following the red box that implies that it's only external factors. This dude is just so deranged, he's making things up outside the rules. Metronome is random, but it doesn't directly determine the outcome of the match. It does if you're colluding with your opponent to only use Pokemon that only use Metronome, which is why it is undeniably against the rules and why there is other esports precedent for this. Every Pokemon match has random. That is clearly not what the rules mean. You're being dishonest. No, you're being dishonest by saying like random elements programmed and deliberately put into the game are the exact same as colluding with your opponent to only use the most random elements in the game to determine the match outcome as a form of protest. Pokemon Company International has never banned the move Metronome, Oko, or Evasion Boost, even though they could ban whatever move they wished. That's because these are sportsmanship rules and not Pokemon move legality rules, and it's not even covered just here, but also here. Infractions category have a serious impact on the operation or integrity of the event, which is why the MLG statement says this is in clear violation of both the letter and spirit of the rules. That the spirit of the rules also has weight when determining something like this. Whenever you read a rule book, it's filled with examples and not the only things that can get you punished. That way, bad actors don't look at the rules and say, well, it doesn't verbatim state I can't collude with my opponent to only determine the match outcome via random moves. No, you look at this under the sportsmanship rules, and any honest, intelligent person can look at this and say, yeah, having it to where you are only using Metronome to determine the outcome of a match is violating the random means rule. It's not only a coin flip covered by this, because then people would draw straws or find some other random means to determine the match outcome and then try to dodge the rules. Missing a move is literally random means, so I think we can agree in-game mechanics and moves are not what the rule is referring to. Except that's false, because again, you can't just have it to where it's like only coin flips and dice rolls are against the rules, because then people will find other ways of trying to bypass the rule. You can use purely RNG in-game methods to determine the outcome outside of competitive play. which is what the Metronome team does. I agree, but you can't blame Wolfe here for saying that the Pokemon Company didn't even cite the rule as a reason for the disqualifications. However, you absolutely blame Wolfe here because he doesn't know the rules, or he is lying by omission to obscure the rules and then try to make the cause he's promoting look more legitimate when it doesn't have any legitimacy because they broke the rules. Also, the rules cover for this. That's about event operation or integrity, which is what the Pokemon Company cites as being broken. So if Wolfeyvgc wasn't a fraudulent liar, cheater, and thief that actually knows nothing about Play Pokemon or its rules, he would be able to figure this out just by simply understanding rules. It's really gotten to the point where the Pokemon community has to hate me because I'm the only PokeTuber that is not a bad actor. I'm the only person in VGC that has actually read the rules and understands them. And because of that, it makes me a threat to all of the bad actor narratives and lies that are constantly pushed by people like Wolfeyvgc or other members in the Pokemon VGC community. Man, the Pokemon community is stupid, and like, it just keeps on going on, where it's either people defending Wolfe or trying to be terminally offended at something where the rules were clearly violated. It's absolutely insane, and like I said, I needed to make this video to just kind of show, like, yes, the Pokemon VGC community is this mentally ill and stupid, and it would be impossible for anyone to know that unless I'm just, like, here documenting it, and then, like, just making sure I'm covering every aspect of this. Like, yeah, there is absolutely no way I'm in the wrong, and that citing the rules as RNG isn't the wrong in any way either. It's crazy. It's insane. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Please share this video so everyone understands madness. Thank you very much for watching.